Yeah, no, we love each other. It's been an interesting journey, and like the origin story is hilarious.
It is really kind of cute. And we're very different people, but it meshes so beautifully.
Yeah. Well, I think the difference is very interesting because the last thing you want in anything is surround yourself with more of you. Except for me, maybe.
No,
but
I couldn't take any more of me.
I think I'd probably drive me nuts.
Yeah, I think I'd be in the same boat. And two of me would drive you absolutely batshit. So.
And no one would work with two of me, so yeah. No.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll get started here in a second. I am recording just as a heads up, and I'll snip some of this stuff out. But so this morning, this isn't a podcast about morning rituals, but my morning ritual is I get coffee and a banana. And I sit down on the front porch, even if it's raining, and I'll check my phone, not scroll on social media. I'll check to see if there's any new business going on or things like that. There's a couple different sources that I go to. And lately I've been reading, I read on AI every morning just because it's affecting everyone's industry, especially mine. And I came away from that and I thought, what should my kids be doing right now to prepare themselves for that, right? The education system is always getting questioned anyway. But now we're going from a world of learning algebra to learning how to prompt. What does that look like? And I also asked it, what are careers that'll be important when my 13-year-old graduates? What's going to be in high demand? And I asked a couple different versions of it. What's going to pay well? What's in high demand? What's in AI? What's out of AI? And all that stuff. And it said, it gave a lot of information. But one of the things it said is psychology and people. And it said AI, and this is AI telling me this.
This is cool.
It said AI will never replace humans' trust in each other and the need for having emotional support with each other.
And the human connection.
And the human connection. And I thought that's fascinating. Of course, I instantly thought of an article I just read about a guy who's having a relationship with ChatGPT, which is weird and interesting.
It's an interesting one.
People having that right now, so you know.
I would imagine. But I thought, what an interesting kind of kickoff to our conversation, that of all the careers, I won't say what it said about web design and development, but of all the careers, there's a staying power of the human connection and business and careers that are associated with that and improving that, which also just kind of brings back to kind of life experience.
Yeah.
So I thought it's kind of an interesting thought. And when I was realizing who I was going to come sit down and talk to today with you two at Grow Wellness.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I think, in the face of a variety of apps, obviously, that are coming out, and a variety of tools that, I think some can be built through insurance, actually. And people are getting very creative. Private equity is now in the space.
Yep.
The actual efficacy that's been shown from AI beyond, maybe you're in a certain place at a certain moment and you need a certain uplifting quote. There has not been any empirical research that I'm aware of that can really replace the human connection. And Winnie and I talk about this all the time with every single time we interview somebody, bring them onto the team or replace them with a client. It's probably 80% of the growth that's going to be experienced in the room is going to be because of the level of trust and the relationship and the rapport between the person, the provider, the therapist, or the counselor, and the client themselves. And so, I think, empathy from AI and from an artificial source, and whether or not a metaverse looks completely different, I still have a hard time seeing it being replaced.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Okay, awesome. So speaking of trust and partnerships, the other kind of exciting thing about today's interview, this is my first guests on a podcast of a co-led organization. Also, first time I've interviewed two people at the same time. And why I find that particularly fun is I am a co-led organization on my day job, as well with myself and Derek. So I find it fascinating that I get asked a lot of questions about that from other friends of mine who own businesses, some who are partners and they have a go at it all the time. And so you can interview us on another podcast, but would love to maybe start by just a quick kind of overview of Grow Wellness, what it is you're doing here. Maybe we'll start there, and then I would love to get into some of the origin story. And if you'd prefer to start with origin story, that could be fun as well.
I think origin story kind of sets the groundwork, don't you?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I think the origin story. Let's go with the origin story. I'm telling the origin story. You like how I tell the
I
origin.
love how you tell it. And I'm just going to
Yeah.
add color as we go along.
Please do, and please don't hesitate. And you can just throw the elbow if it's time for me to cut off. So Wendy, so I moved to this area. What was it, 2012? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, sure.
2012. At that point, still in corporate America. I mean, Ted, can I say that we worked? I mean,
Yeah,
Ted and I
sure.
used to work together. We used to do
Yeah.
consulting together, both business and technology. I think both of us traveled a significant amount of the time. And I remember during that period of time, you actually had a family before I did.
Yep.
And I remember you leaving and starting your own jam and just you chase your dream.
Yep.
And here you still are.
Still chasing, by the way.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's like, I would say like we will always be chasing, and it's like, what are we chasing? And I'll get into that story, and it's not dollars, but it was a tremendously rewarding career. It was a very challenging career. It was financially rewarding, but at the end of the day, it was hard for me to justify, I guess, overall my time spent, given the limited amount of time I have here on Earth.
Yep.
And what kind of a difference do I want to make based on the values that I have as a human?
Though I will say, from being your neighbor and looking at the life you were building down the block, I went, wow, this guy's got a charmed life. Like, it looked really good from the outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So went down the MBA path, all the things. Made the decision that I already knew that I wanted to try something new where I made a difference in other people's lives. And I just didn't know what the avenue was and what the right medium was to be able to do that. And so Wendy, knowing that she had a background in counseling and the helping profession and was a neighbor, and not just a neighbor, but the kind that you move in and the day later they show up with bundt cakes and all sorts of
and
special
brownies
things.
that you made lots of funny jokes about, yeah.
Yeah, and brownies and all sorts of things. Yes, we've joked about those. And I would say just like going from that first meeting, just developing a pretty like close relationship. Like we have similar traditions and backgrounds and family structures. And I love your family and your husband and all the things. So I went to her house and I said, this is what I would like to do, is completely shifting professions. And
what was the
you
first thing I said to you?
said,
like you were my own kid. Like, this doesn't pay as well as what you do now. It's going to affect your lifestyle. Are you okay with that? And I think the background is I was entrepreneurial before, and I did some counseling, went back to school as kind of a side hustle.
Yeah.
Because it was, again, you can write checks and support charities. You can go to events. But if you really want to help people, you have to get your hands dirty and you have to get in there. And so for me, that was going back to grad school in my 40s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and deciding to do this. But the sticker shock coming from sales and sales leadership into counseling is significant.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make sure your eyes were open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you're just making sure I can make, payments and all the things, and the family would not be displaced.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
So I appreciate you looking out. So you connected me with the appropriate people in the community to kind of give me some direction. And then you said something to me as I went on my journey to get another master's degree. You said something that was very motivating.
Thank you.
Do you remember what it was? Yes, you
when
do.
You open your practice, call me.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like, don't call us, we'll call you, but backwards.
Yeah, so, did she really mean it? No, but she had the most wonderful intentions, and
I knew you'd do well.
She was trying. She was showing
her
her belief in me.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me at the time, I did not know that was your angle, but I did not have a long-term plan because I still was not 100%. So went through school.
Oh, Wendy did, so that's okay.
Yeah. Yes, you apparently did.
Best in people.
Yeah. So went through school. We both worked for other larger, we'll call them private practices, agencies, and mental health in the area. When I got to school, and then both you've done it throughout.
Right.
And why did we start this place? Why did I give Wendy finally the call?
You bugged the hell out of me. Lots of texts, and I was like,
And I don't usually do that very much. So
No.
like I was pursuing.
It was a different side of you.
Yeah, I'm not really on the hunt that often.
Mm-mm.
That's actually a good.
It's
We'll
true.
have to go back to that. And so yeah, we went through different organizations, and we started to notice nuance in how the organizations were run, how leadership functioned, how clinicians were treated, and how clients were treated.
Yeah.
And we had no aspirations of growing to a certain size.
Yep.
We just wanted to do the right thing by our clients and do the right thing, but more so by our people, because it carries over.
Yes.
And so Wendy and I, we came into this, and we actually brought in a strategy firm
Early on.
completely objectively to what are your values, and to define our lanes. Everything from interviewing to hiring to cultural events to internal processes, just to kind of like stay the path and keep our clients first. And so over time we've added things, and over time we've added people.
Yeah.
And our metric for outside of solvency and making sure we have enough money in the bank for reinvesting in the business and new ideas to be able to help clients and clinicians and all the things, but it's impact.
Yeah.
And so when we launch a new service, it's almost exclusively as a result of impact. And we could talk more about those if you have a question about them.
Quick question about something you said to make sure I heard it right, because I think it's very, very cool. You said that you brought in some outside a strategy firm as you were first getting started, and you said so that we could focus on the patients. What I think is really interesting with entrepreneurs that I talk to, particularly coming from careers where like now they need to hire someone that did the thing that they used to do.
Exactly.
Is so many times, well, I've done this before, I know how to do this, and they fall back in their old career all of a sudden instead of focusing on the new business. So if I heard that correctly, the idea was, hey, this is what I do now. I'm going to focus on my patients. My old career tells me I should bring some folk. That work needs to be done. But I'm going to go find people that's what they do. My time is worth more here.
100%. And it's like,
I think a lot.
You and I, like, could we have done those workshops ourselves? Like, yeah, we could have done it ourselves. But I feel like the objective viewpoint of somebody challenging us as we went through these different values, like that, I thought that was essential. Acknowledging we don't have all the answers, and we do it with our staff too. We meet with them one-on-one every single year because we really want to understand what it is that they need and how we can help them grow.
I think it's also impressive that you did that at the onset of starting the business, because a lot of individuals, there's ego involved, where if I used to be a consultant, I can do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to get this running, and then like, okay, fine. Well, usually a partner saying, let's pay someone. Like, we don't need to do that. So that is very, that explains the amount of doors you just walked me through in the hallway.
Well, I think I would say it also is explained by the caliber of people that we've been very fortunate to have brought in, our supporters in the community and all sorts of other things. But yep, you heard it right.
I was giving the mindset credit, not the consulting.
And I appreciate, and truly appreciate. But I think our original goal was impact one life.
Yeah, and I think because of the experiences we had in the field, working for other people, we saw the things that just didn't feel right. The things that I'm going to steal Adam's line: therapists were revenue generators, and clients were dollar signs. And you go into this field because you're ideological. You want to help people. You want to make the world a better place. And that's just, those things are at odds, right? If I wanted to just like figure out how to maximize profit, I'd stay in sales and marketing. So I think we were both kind of shocked that we kept seeing over and over again in the mental health field, a helping field, that it's all about P&L. And that felt wrong.
Yeah.
You go.
Nope. No, I was like, and the thing was, can we do it differently? Can we do it putting people first? Can we treat everybody like it's your relative calling in for help? Can we meet people where they're at? And it was kind of an experiment. It just kind of worked.
Yeah.
And we weren't afraid to pivot. I would say, if we weren't afraid to pivot, to take accountability, the continuous improvement, I would say in organization, it comes 50% from, the people in a certain circle and 50% from staff.
Yeah.
And we don't think we know it all. That's the other piece of it. We are so sure we don't know it all.
I like that.
Yeah.
Certainty and uncertainty.
Yeah. No, if we were to assume that to be the case, I would imagine we would fix the leg when the arm's broken. So I don't think insurance would reimburse for that either.
Not for us. Maybe a surgeon, but not for us.
Okay, so I think listeners could draw conclusions about the service here. Plus, I will have a bumper at the beginning where I intro who you are. But let's talk a little bit about the business, and I'd love to hear kind of some of the main focus areas. I know you've branched off into sports as well,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some, and I'm sure it's always changing.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, you just said that
Mm-hmm.
when we make impact is where we start growing.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of maybe a quick overview, and I'd love to touch on some of the things, how maybe what you're doing is unique
Mm-hmm.
To what some of the other P&L chasers are.
Okay, I'll start with yoga. Because we started, and 6 months later, COVID hit.
Yep.
The world changed overnight.
Right.
And then the ramifications of that change played out day after day, week after week, month after month. And it was, I think, hard on everyone. It was especially hard on therapists.
Yeah.
And what are we doing for self-care? Everything we used to do is no longer available to us.
Right.
And at that time, they were building out the building, and I would look at that and go, this would be a great yoga studio. I would literally bring my mat, which is my office, lay it on the floor over there, and look at the ceiling and go, this would be great for Shavasana. And wouldn't it be great if we could provide that for the therapists? We know it's not everybody's thing to do.
Sure.
But it's one way of being mindful. It's one way of connecting with your inner self. It's one way to move your body. And if we could provide that as a perk for being part of our team, wouldn't that be amazing?
Awesome.
We had no idea how we were going to do that.
No, and I think throughout our journey, we've taken calculated risks, both in the interest of our clinicians that work here, and I know even if they didn't go over, we would have done the same thing over again, as well as our clients. And so, but to go back to your original question, I think it was, as a practice, what do we do?
What do you do? Who are you? What's your client base look like?
Got it. Okay. So what do we do? We work with, and you'll notice that we're Grow Wellness Group, not Grow Clinical Services or Grow Behavioral Health. We're acknowledging, essentially, by using that word, that everybody's going to go through life and have challenges. Does that mean we need to carry around a diagnosis and identify with that diagnosis for the rest of our life just because insurance requires you to have one to get reimbursed? No, I don't believe so. And so part of that's just destigmatizing mental health and allowing people to come into a place where, they don't feel like, it's not a dry space. They're not being treated for something. They're being guided.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're here for growth and development.
When you're done,
Ooh.
call me or come see me. Question.
Okay.
That's all good.
That must be a big one.
Yeah,
But
it is. It's about being human
Mhm.
and coming across challenges, not being ill, but coming across something new and wanting someone to walk with you.
Yeah, and it also gave us the ability to, wellness. We define wellness so much as physical wellness.
Mhm.
Why are we making a delineation between physical wellness and mental wellness? Like,
Right.
when you just look at it as a pyramid, they kind of all come together. If one piece is not fitting together, the other piece isn't going to fit together. And chances are, if one piece is struggling, the other one's going to struggle too.
Right.
And this is the whole integration between mind and body. There's a lot of research on that one, and that's part of the reason we have the yoga studio and we have yoga therapy, and we have movement and body related activities and services and stuff like that. But overall, the heart of our business is the counseling, therapy. We'll say strictly mental wellness side of our business. We work with clients ages 3 and up, so starting very, very young.
Yeah.
Where it could be, behavioral regulation, it could be neurodiversity, it could be a certain level of defiance that a parent might be challenged with, or just a spirited little child, attachment issues, a whole lot of different things, all the way up through, I would say, end of life. And we make sure that we provide access, and I would say this is the big one, to as many people as possible, both through the insurances that we offer, and then also the other thing, the impact piece, is our nonprofit foundation, which we started, was it 3 years ago now? 3 years ago now. And I'll let you talk about that one in a second if we have time.
Sure.
We have 2 nurse prescribers practitioners on staff that prescribe. We only did that to serve our existing clients because the wait list was so long.
Okay.
We have 2 neuropsychologists on staff. We did that because during COVID, it took 2 years. So that feels more clinical, but it would
Yeah.
take 2 years to get into a school, to get to another psychologist. That's how long the wait was, to get an IP at a school.
Wow.
So there was no way that we could sleep at night knowing that our clients, like literally, it could be social development, it could be academic and intellectual development, 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
That wasn't one we could really deal with. And then all the other ancillary services you mentioned, sports psychology, that's impact. No athlete's going to come in and seek help, and it's like this is like this sneaky little secret, but like no athlete's going to come in and seek help unless it's the one thing they identify most with. One,
Right.
they don't have the time.
Right.
2, it's like I'm fine if I'm doing well in this thing because I get so many accolades in it. So like my cup's full. It's when that thing becomes jeopardized that they realize, shoot, performance anxiety, they miss the kick, like, and then they're not getting it back. Okay, then they're going to seek help because now it's affecting the thing that they are identifying most with. It's a source of a lot of their confidence and acceptance, and at least at this point in their life, at least from their perspective.
Yeah.
And so we may start with one thing, and because our clinicians are dual licensed, it's almost like performance anxieties. Usually there's a lot more behind the scenes.
Interesting.
So we will work on the core issues, and we have plenty of skills to be able to offer on that. And whether it's pre-game, post-game, bouncing back from mistakes, like just things in real time, which are more, I want to say, tactical, skill based. But then also addressing the bigger problem that might be happening behind the scenes, which could be family pressures. It could be social pressures. It could be just a range of different issues that. It could be depression. It could be general anxiety that we're really not seeing, but they're coming out in specific ways that we can then address.
Interesting. And it's such an interesting dynamic too, as we talk about how the mind relates to physical and also sports and mental health, because, and the way you described that, so I'm not going to repeat it, was perfect, right? In terms of it's the source that they identify with when that starts being impacted, otherwise their plate's full.
Mm-hmm.
What I also found interesting is I observed just casually that a lot of the premier athletes, premier anything, right, usually had some challenge growing up, or some bad family situation they had to get out of, and stuff like that. And so there's almost this dichotomy of hyper success in sports and covering up for
other things that may have happened in their life. And on the other side of it, that's an interesting point. So we'll do one-on-one working with athletes, and then we'll work with teams, and we'll work with coaches and working with their teams. We also work with many one-on-one athletes that are now retired from the sport. Division one and professional included, where now who am I?
Yeah.
Now, if they're not coaching, if they're not doing something affiliated with their sport, now who am I, and who do I want to be in the world?
Yeah.
And that would be the challenge. And if I'm speaking to like any young people here, it's enjoy it while you can. It's a great passion. Like I played, and it ended in an injury, and it's you got to figure out what you like beyond that, because like these are the things as we get older, that will sustain us and keep us healthy.
Yeah. Amazing.
And fulfilled.
And when you were saying that too, I thought, and there's not that much of a difference between that and a regular client that we see here that lost their job and they were a something, and now they can't find a job as a something again. Who the heck are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you actually just brought up a good point, and Ted, I don't know how much time we have. One of the things I think that does make us unique is we really do try, and we serve about 1,600 distinct individuals a month. It might be
1,600 a month.
17. It might be 17.
Wow.
And I mean that could be a handful of times a month, but just distinct individuals. And I believe that we give each one of them as much individual attention as humanly possible, whether it's support for the clinician, and from the moment they call in and they talk to our intake department, which you just met, that was Lori, they truly care about what that person has to say, and they will sit on the phone and let everything else go to voicemail while they talk to this human being. And Wendy actually used to do intake,
For the first
and
3
she didn't want to
years.
give it away because she was that first voice and like the first entry point into what does it feel like to exist in the grow ecosystem.
Until we found the right person who could be willing to listen, who was empathic, who cared. Like, you just can't hand that to some virtual assistant.
Right.
Mm-mm.
It just doesn't work.
Nope. So, and then the foundation was the last piece, just in terms of impact. The Grow Wellness Foundation started in 2022. We received an email, and I don't know if we talked about this
I
one at
think
all,
you
but
kind of have to
why
back
don't you
up a
do?
little bit too, because
Let you do this one.
so when COVID hit, we decided again, we're about impact, we're about community. I've lived here my whole life. My children grew up here. Adam lives here now. His children are going up here. This is our community. So the first thing we did is we asked the very
I like
few
this
therapists
approach.
that we had, there were only a couple of us, and we said, hey, we want to put the word out there that anybody can have 3 free counseling sessions. We don't care what your insurance is. We're not going to charge you. But if you need to talk to somebody, we've got 3 sessions for you. Everyone here, I mean, all 4 or 5 of us, wasn't big, said, yes, I will do that. We put that out in the community, and people reached out. And they did. It was just like a stabilization, a quick like check in, and it felt good to us. It's like we are helping our community navigate this really interesting time.
We call that target audience interviews in my line of work.
Yeah,
There you
What do
go.
you want?
yeah,
Here it is.
yeah.
And from that, we've always served some reduced fees, some pro bono, I mean, where I used to work, there were a lot of rules. And if you lost your job, of course, you lose your insurance,
Mhm.
which meant you couldn't come back and see us because you had no insurance. But you just lost your job and you probably need to go talk to someone, right? This is not the time to say, hey, so long, have a
Right.
good time. So when that happens here, we let the therapist continue to see them.
And
It's
we
fine.
pay them, and they pay. So
Right. So that's always been in our DNA.
Yeah.
Because again, it's always been impact, community, making the world a better place.
Right.
Not like how much can we squeeze out of a dollar.
Yeah.
Just,
and treat people like human beings. I would say like that's the essence. And I think
Yeah.
kind of like that's where I was going. And if somebody decides to leave here, we wish them well. Depending on what they want to do, we try to offer to help. And I would say the biggest thing that makes us quite different is they can take their clients with them.
Right.
If they have these relationships and their clients trust them and they're doing great work,
we're not going to interrupt that.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because that interferes with the client's well-being, and then if we were to hold on to that jeopardizes everything we stand for.
Well, it's interesting too because the timing of you launching, right, with COVID, right? So that had an interesting thing. We can skip over that. We're all tired of those stories at this point. Well, but I don't say we're tired about it, but
we know. We all know
that could be a whole episode, right? But also kind of the aftermath of some of that we're now seeing, right, in terms of the job market. And I know someone that fits every mold that you just gave an example of, right? So it's very real, and it's everywhere of people going through some of these transitions. But to run a business in that serves that, I think it's very important. This is something we looked at during COVID too, when some of our biggest clients were heavily impacted. Is you have to believe there's something after that, and if you do, what should you continue to do to make sure that you are prepared and building towards that? And so that's talking about my example was running a business, building websites and doing all that stuff, and when is business going to come back? But with people, it's a little bit more interesting. And so I think it's such a smart approach to take because so many people that need services even more are in some place that could be a financial burden, right? And if we drop them, then kind of what are we doing here? So to figure out a way to keep that going, I think you nailed it, right? So the people that work for you are seeing and believing that mission. They're still getting to do their job too, right?
Yep.
And not the reason you are doing it, but I have to imagine that has quite an impact on your brand and reputation in the community.
It's interesting.
Or maybe not.
I think we
Not
I think
everyone
we
talks about it. Yeah.
I think we have a
See, I'm sure you
I,
didn't
th-
think
I,
of
th-
it that way.
I think
Yeah.
our because it's almost like we don't really tell that many people that we do this.
That doesn't surprise me.
People. I mean, and I would say it's not necessarily for business reasons. It's just it's just
It's not
what
who
we
we
do.
are.
I think what we are mostly known for is how we show up in the community in various ways.
Tell me a little bit about that, because community is a big part of the podcast. I say Chicagoland community, local community. Would love to know some of that, because not enough businesses do enough of that.
We could both tag team this one.
Yeah, go. You start.
Okay. We do a lot of pro bono events, and in many cases, we'll still compensate our staff for it because they like doing it. I mean, it gives them more diversification outside of. I mean, a lot of work we do is it's in an office. We're by ourselves. I mean, it can be isolating. So creating a unique culture in the context of this industry is a heck of a lot different than any other one I've certainly been in. But in terms of community events, we do a lot with the schools here, the public schools.
Makes sense.
North Central College.
Yep.
North Central. Yep.
The colleges, we've done plenty with the athletic teams on a pro bono basis, just because this is where my kids live.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that we're working with are people we know and we like.
Yeah.
And so we want to see them do better.
And we partner with other nonprofits. We don't look at other nonprofits as our competition, right?
Right.
Because together we can do so much more. So we work with Little Friends. We work with SamariCare, which is another nonprofit in town. And when we pull our efforts together, the impact is that much greater.
Yeah. That is awesome.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that through the nonprofit foundation, what we were able to do, what was it, 3 months ago, with the legislative breakfast, where we had Bill Foster. I mean, we had basically anybody that has political influence, I would say, within DuPage County, including the DuPage Foundation.
Yeah, right.
Right. And so like some of this was exposure and some of it was like, okay, maybe we might ask you for grant funding in the future and this is what it would be for and this would be the impact kind of a thing. But we had therapists that were in schools last year, 5 hours a day, and they were seeing individual students that wouldn't have had transportation to get here or even insurance to be able to cover it.
Wow.
And so it's like for us, like that's what feels right. And again, that's on the nonprofit side of our business. So, and Winnie's doing, I would say, I'm gonna give Winnie props for it. Like, with the grant writing skills, I couldn't write a grant for the life of me. And fundraising.
I do have a journalism degree, so.
And we have a phenomenal board. And so, and the another thing I would say is, virtually anytime somebody asks us to come out, we don't charge. Like we generally don't charge.
Yeah.
If it's community based, we'll still pay our people. Beat the streets. Thank you for that connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
What an organization. We hope to do more with them. I wish it was a little bit closer.
Yep.
Team went down there. They love doing the work. Like the passion's there, and if we have the ability to compensate them to make an impact on people that wouldn't otherwise.
I have a connection for you on that, by the way.
Okay, we can talk about that later. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I would say like there's really, and through the foundation work, but we really get out and about, and I think people know that we are doing it authentically.
I think we see the need, and I always say this because people say, "Well, how are you different from this or for this group?" And I'm like, if those groups could cover all the need here, we would politely go away.
Yeah.
But we see the people that are falling through the cracks, that need the support, that the other places have wait lists too, right? So if we can lift a little of this and help a few more people, let's do it.
Yeah.
And our board feels the same way.
That's awesome. And you mentioned you're doing it for the right reasons, which goes all the way back to the origin story, right? Of wanting to make an impact. And it's not about the money. Obviously, you need to be fiscally solvent and all those other things.
Yeah,
the foundation plays into that. But I think I want to make sure that it's heard that to proof to the point of we do it for impact. I made a comment about that's great about your brand and the community. I've never even thought about that.
And we know we receive plenty of positive feedback. Just for how we show up. I mean, I think part of it probably does have to do with the strength of our clinicians and the work they've done. I'll start with them first. I think probably the goodwill. I mean, I think it's just how we've shown up over every single year. I mean, we don't say no.
No, and I think it's funny when you say, like, we hear back from people, they're happy with their clinician, they're happy with the services provided. I almost, and maybe I'm a little strange, I almost like it when someone isn't quite so happy sometimes, and they're willing to come out and tell us.
Yeah, improvement.
And then we can talk to them and say, okay, you know what? I hear what you're saying. How do we fix it? What would make it better? And those opportunities give us that chance to think about the things, like you said, things we don't think about, right?
Yep.
So how can we improve this? How can we improve that? I didn't realize that wasn't done the way you wanted it done, right? Or so, whatever it is. I sometimes like talking to the people who maybe aren't 100% happy with us all the time, because they give us that space to make it better.
Yeah.
No disagreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing more useless than a bunch of people in a room saying "good job."
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice, but
it's nice now and then. I guess you do need it now and then. So the if I were to ask what the secret sauce is, let me back up for a second where I'm coming from in this. Sounds like Shangri-La, right? You got two people. That is the business world. Forget about that. I'm going to go help people make an impact. What? Not everyone can pay for it. I'm going to solve that too. Then I'm going to go out in the community and do all this stuff. I'm going to spend an hour talking to this TED guy on a podcast in the middle of the day in this sweet loft office. So often,
where are we going
when you
here?
see someone going after their passion, it's few and far between that what appears in every definition of the word to be a successful business that's growing behind it. What is your secret sauce to get it all?
I would say continuous and like acknowledging, number one, we don't have all the answers. Honestly, like, we don't have all the answers.
We don't.
I mean,
do everything right
I think
either.
probably 10 to 15%, and I don't know if every I don't know how upper leadership is looking at things now. I know I don't work quite as closely in that world to be able to compare as much because I don't go to as many companies. We maybe, if we were just relying on our own visibility into how our staff is doing, we might get 15% of the picture.
Yeah.
We want to get as close to 90% or above as possible. And so I would say really trying to listen to our people as much as humanly possible. Like, can we promise the moon and the stars? Like, we wish we could.
Yeah.
We wish we could promise, higher compensation. They work their butts off, and this is a tough career.
Yeah.
We are constrained by insurance contracts. It's just the way it is. It's the name of the game.
Yep.
But secret sauce, I think we just kind of stayed in our lane the whole time. We've been vulnerable and accountable for virtually everything.
And although it appears we always agree on everything, we don't, and we discuss.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can relate.
Yeah. No, we have great health. I mean,
we have good discussions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we had a great storming phase.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah. No, that was great. I mean, the ideas that came out of that phase, and then the next one was much better.
Agreed.
But
I think that's part of it too, is that, it may look so beautiful, like on the surface, the icing on the cake, but there's a lot going on in that cake. And I would say, although we do have a little bit of an age difference and generational differences, we both are not afraid to take a risk.
Mm-hmm.
And we are both always searching for, like, what's the next new thing? What do people need? Not like what's the next cool Gitchy thing, but what's the next thing that's coming up that people are going to need to get help to get through it. And trying to maybe forecast a little bit of, like, what is that next thing and how can we prepare so when that hits, we can help.
Yeah.
And I would say, and making sure that hearing the voices of the people that work here, and especially their growth aspirations, and giving them those opportunities. And that's something like from day one that we've tried to give as much as possible to our staff, is trajectory for growth and diversification of what they do.
Yeah, big believer in that, by the way. And I had a hard time with that when I first started my business.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a hard time with that when I was in consulting too. That's the feedback I got in my review, is that I took it as a compliment. But my performance manager said, you tend to pick things up really quickly, but because of that, you think everyone else does. And you don't really give them time to. You're very impatient with people. And I'm like, I pick things up quickly. Like that's all I heard of that as in my head. I
That's all I
was
heard.
I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. But it took some time and you to kind of realize that. And what I will say is, before this conversation today, I had you take me on a quick tour, and the tour took 3 times as long as it should have because every single person that you two bumped into, there was a thoughtful, meaningful, actual in the moment conversation with every single one of them. Like none of it was superfluous BS.
Mm-mm.
And I was like, that's probably going to come up in our conversation somewhere. But the people side of it, and that's especially for something where you could easily be an independent practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nothing's easy, but you could be
Mm-hmm.
independent, work out of that office, have enough clients to generate what you need to do, making your impact and stuff like that. I think the secret sauce to building a business out of it is to get the buy-in from others. And I think you only do that by acting the way that you're doing.
And I think it's being genuine and vulnerable sometimes. Like, honestly, I mean, I would say in many cases, that's people's biggest fear.
Yeah.
Is, if I'm vulnerable or I open myself up to something else.
Yeah.
But shoot, especially in this industry, like, maybe it's a different animal.
We all have lots of feelings.
Maybe it's a different animal.
It's different than the business world.
Yes, it certainly is. But I would agree with you, Ted, and I think that's something that goes overlooked. It's really trying to give the personal touch to everybody that works here, and because at the end of the day, they provide the service, and if they don't feel
Value.
if they don't see our value, I guess, if they don't see the values of the organization and the team that they are very much a part of, and the values they're supporting, I think it's a big miss on our part.
Yeah.
I think it's a big miss because it creates a lot of buy-in.
Makes a lot of sense. So, I apologize. What time do you have in your watch? You were mentioning time.
2:45.
Oh, perfect.
That's good.
I could pick up some kids at 4 o'clock. We're good.
I know. I got my alarm going off.
Mine's getting a massage, so I gotta
Your
get there.
kid.
My kid.
He's needier than mine.
You?
So we were talking about, and again, I'm going to ask a lot of questions in this because it's unique
No.
to my other interviews. But you mentioned stay in your lanes,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm going to go back to this this piece of partnership. And some businesses, I think, thrive as a result. Some, it's the biggest challenge, and the whole company feels it.
Mm-hmm.
And I get asked a lot, like, how do you and Derek get along so well? And I say funny stuff, you know, like our accountant asked us that once. I'm like, he had to leave early, and he's like, I've never seen two partners trust each other so much. Like, how do you do it? And I told him, with the blank face, I said, well, every year we go down to Vegas, we get in a ton of trouble. So if there's a discussion, we can't tell it.
There's so much blackmail,
And,
you can't do anything.
And their jaws dropped. They're like, are you serious? I'm like, I'm not serious. But I can do something fun. Let's see how this goes. Because I think in any partner situation, there's a belief that the other person is giving value to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't appreciate them, right? And so, what would you say Wendy's superpower is?
Oh gosh, she's the connector.
The
She
connector?
is absolutely the connector. She's also the caretaker.
The caretaker.
I'm everyone's mom.
honey.
I'm everyone's your mom.
But truly, I mean, it's how I think how she shows up for staff and the way that she shows up for staff, and good God, I mean, and you're asking me to pick out the big ones, so I'm picking out the big ones, not all of them. But goodness,
They're my priority. Other ones don't work.
yeah, but goodness, what her connections look like in the community in terms of our ability to make an impact in the ways we want to, have basically enabled a lot of, in many ways, the growth and the impact in some of the ancillary services that we've had, like without a doubt.
Okay, I won't repeat that. I'll go with it. I'm trying to say
Thank you.
I'll do my best.
Okay. Well, I'll do another. What are Adam's superpowers?
God.
You knew it was
He has
coming.
So many.
I gave you the
He
break.
has you did. So
I could change real quick and come out.
don't you bring so much to the equation.
Oh,
You
that's
are
nice.
brilliant.
Oh.
You are fearless. you have such a heart. I've adopted you. He's 2 years older than my oldest, so it's like I kind of adopted him.
How
And
sad.
like I love like when you like throw something new at me that I don't know what the heck it is. And I spend a lot of my life with like, oh, join this board, this thing. I come home and like, I don't know what to do with this P&L, right? So I have to learn it.
Mhm.
He keeps me learning. So that's on a personal side. On the business side, it's the brilliance, it's his warmth, it's the way he talks to everyone here, it's the way he cares. But I love personally that he keeps putting new things in front of me. So I am aging. That is what happens when a person lives. But I don't feel old because I'm learning new things every day. It's true.
Can I read two of mine? Holy shit! That was really nice.
Oh, I love you.
So
Yeah.
I would say
This is fantastic.
so the trust comes from. I mean, look, I guess the way that I see it, the nature of our relationship is people. This is cliche, but this is pretty much family. I mean, she's the closest thing to family that I have here in the state of Illinois.
I love
Yeah.
his mom and dad too. So
And her husband is delightful and hilarious, especially when he wears his Boy Scout outfit. It's just, I wish we had a picture. We could just throw on the video because it's great. But
yeah.
I trust her unconditionally.
No, isn't that scary?
We think different but similarly, and we challenge each other in ways that it's all been very healthy. And so, I hate the idea of when you start talking about your age and all the things. And
I mean, someday,
So-
I won't be here. Someday. But someday is not a day of the week. So,
None of us
cute.
are getting
That's
out here
cute.
alive.
right.
Yeah.
I'm an existentialist, so I kind of like, I mean, yet, I think what people think people are supposed to do at any age, whether it's 20, 30, 40, whatever,
Yeah.
doesn't mean you have to do that,
Mm-mm.
right? You can do what you want to do. And nothing feels better than going home at the end of the day and knowing the world might be this much better because of something we might have done.
Mm-hmm. And I'll go back to one question that you did. And holy crap. Thank you. Like,
And I'm a terrible liar. So
I didn't pay you for that either.
No,
Like,
but I am available if you want to know.
holy fuck. Shit, I was gonna say something else.
And it was profound. I know it.
Yeah, it was gonna be pretty good.
Back to a question that I had asked.
It was back to a question you had asked, but if you have another one,
It was about super partners, it was about partners, it was how does it work. I'll react a little bit to some of that conversation because I do get asked that question a lot, being a similar thing, and I always try and think why. I'm like, we're just. My default answer is I think we both think the other person's smarter than the other person,
mm-hmm.
and it's kind of not true. But the other one is trust too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times if we are in a situation where we do have different opinions, and it happens all the time,
Mm-hmm.
like you say, and our people at work at our organization probably don't think that. What it usually comes down to is one of us is a little closer to it than the other, and it sounds like this. I think this way. I can tell you're closer to it than I am. Trust, I'm not putting this on you,
Mm-hmm.
but let's do that. And I think that's important too, is when we do make a decision that is based on what one person's opinion is versus what the other one is, it's still a we decision.
Yeah.
Is I think.
Oh, absolutely.
But another dynamic that I never really thought of is there's an age difference with us as well. Not massive,
Mm-hmm.
but
Ours isn't massive either.
I think that but I do think it gets.
I'm aging quickly, and you're aging very slowly. So this is like. I think we're gonna look like they're the same age in like 5 years.
I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist or anything like that. But working with a lot of businesses, I have a lot of conversations with business owners, and the ones that are interesting, that seem to have a little bit more challenge with grit, they're also a little bit more in competition with each other too. And I think some of that might have to do with being in similar age or similar or something.
Ego.
Could be interesting.
It could be.
There
And
you
I think,
go.
you know what?
And just some people are jerks. So.
And a lot of, I'm thinking about other businesses I know and people that are partners. Often it's two best friends, right? They start a business together.
Uh-huh.
And you notice we never really said that. We're like family, but we have different lives. We're not best. We're friendly. We see each other out here sometimes, but we're not like besties.
Yeah.
And maybe because of that, there's not that competition piece. There's not that like I have to do this thing, like raise my children better than you raised yours, or I've got it. It's
Right. And that's true too. Do you know how many times the Nelsons and the Novaks have gone out to dinner together?
that many, huh?
0. If I think about it, as a whole family, we've never had a family picnic. And we all know each other perfectly well, right? And probably my best friend as well. But those things are separate, and we never made a decision to do that. We just kind of kept
It was organic.
kept the church and state separate a little bit. But I do think, because particularly if you're growing a business and that becomes part of your identity, it also becomes how you are viewed in a community, right? And communities are, particularly social communities, depending where you live, there's a degree of measurement going on, right? This gets back, Wendy, to one of the things that you said, which is, which challenges that in a positive way, which I agree with, is there's this idea that you're supposed to be at certain places, having the certain things and doing the certain stuff based on age or gender or whatever that is. And just as soon as you can break that down, it releases you from a lot of that. But I think because it does exist, that can also put pressures on business partners that are in that exact same environment all the time.
I agree.
So you guys are in the same neighborhood, so maybe there's more magic to that.
Yeah, we used to be. I mean, it was for a little bit, and so now we got like a little bit more distance between us.
A whole mile.
A mile. But it's easy when we get together. We generally don't talk about work unless it's like, okay, we need to talk we haven't had time to talk strategically for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, let's get time to start.
For me, it's a chance. My grandkids live out of state, so like when he brings the kids over, it's like I get to play grandma for a little bit.
Yeah.
And my husband is still a big kid, so he gets to play grandpa for a little bit, and he loves that. Yeah, so it's casual, but it's not like there's no expectation.
Yeah.
Like he knows if he needs something, you can call me. If I need something, I can call you. We're there.
Oh yeah. I mean, I trust her to the point where, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but like if something were to happen to me and we had no contract like written out, I know my children would benefit from whatever you chose to do with this business. That in and of
Oh, he just laid that on me, didn't he?
Yep.
Wow.
Like
But
that's how much I
I love
trust
your
you.
kids, but yeah.
Well, hopefully, if you didn't, you'd still do the same thing. But,
But-
moving on.
Yeah, no, this is wonderful. Okay, we will move on. I think there's a lot to be said on that, and I also do think it comes down to less than an equation. There's some equations that help, but I think it also comes down to personality types, and just like any sort of relationship, getting into business with someone that you could get into business with,
And being okay being wrong, or like admitting like your idea this seems like a better idea.
I just came to you today and said I think you were right about this one thing, and
I said I didn't want to be right.
I didn't want to be right. I was right. And I once hired somebody because I liked your voice on the phone, and you're like, you're weird. I mean, I don't
think I said that.
The face was weird.
Okay, I probably did.
Yeah, but she turned out okay. Actually, better than okay. But again,
voice on the phone is part of the product, right? And this,
it was the rapport. It was
something there.
So okay, this is fascinating, and will be unique content for this episode. Although I hate the word content, but will be unique conversation for this episode. So okay, we'll come out of the partner conversation. Trends. Things that you are seeing, right? So we've got some things we already talked. I do this all the time. I ask a question and then I answer everything, and then leave you with nothing else to say.
So I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, so some of the things we've already discussed. We've discussed COVID, right, was its own thing. Now we are seeing, a lot of we didn't talk about this. We were talking about sports and athletes, and when they're done with that, who are they now? You mentioned when people are losing a job they had, who are they now? I'm now introducing the fact that we're seeing multiple large layoffs in middle management that has been going on, where half the community claims that's because of AI. I'm of a believer AI is kind of an excuse to use for
Yep.
probably some adjustments coming out of COVID
Yep.
and a way to shift some financials around. Not to mention tax codes changing everything else. We don't have to get into all that.
Thank you.
But I'm curious in what types of trends we're seeing that, because you're kind of on the front lines of how that impacts people.
Mm-hmm.
There is a collective anxiety. I don't care if you're right or left or centrist. There is a palatable desire in our rooms when we talk to clients to talk about what their beliefs are and their unease, dis-ease. I don't know. I can't come up with the right word.
It's the uncertainty and it's fear.
The world, yeah, it's the world we live in, and that there's no guardrails.
Interesting.
I see grown-ups, so.
That is interesting. Yeah. So still talking about trends.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Whatever's trending on TikTok at the moment for the middle schoolers.
I mean, that's one of the other things. I mean, if we're talking about trends and mental wellness specifically, and I'm assuming that that's the nature of the question.
It is
kind of okay.
Yes.
Good, cool. Social media. I mean, it can be so great for a lot of different things. For young people, they're exposed to things so early that they wouldn't have been exposed to earlier. And the comparison game starts so much earlier. I mean, I'll tell you, I don't know if it's, Ulta or Sephora. Like,
yep.
I mean, they've done a great job marketing. I mean, they've gotten 11, 12-year-old girls and up. I mean, but a lot of this it'll come from TikTok. It'll come from social media. It'll come from them telling them what the right thing to do is. In addition, a lot of these things, including AI, are helping people diagnose themselves.
Correct.
Where we don't even want people diagnosing themselves. And
Correct.
that's the problem of what we are seeing, where people are identifying now with a diagnosis that was created by something they saw on TikTok.
Yeah.
And basically it's based on, as you know, it's based on an algorithm based on everything they viewed in the past.
Correct.
And so it's going to spit out something that, of course, that's going to align with everything you've looked at in the past.
Yeah.
So that's one trend we've been noticing for a while, where people are diagnosing themselves. And it actually, like, there's waves of what they're diagnosing themselves with, and usually it's teenagers. The comparison game, of course. Technology only, or just industry?
Just industry.
Industry, just like in dentistry, just like in physical therapy, just like in chiropractic, you are seeing private equity firms, entering the space. And why are they entering the space? Well, they wouldn't do it if there wasn't money in it. And so essentially, I mean, I can tell you how I look at it. They're monetizing people's mental health, which doesn't feel great. I understand it. We live in a capitalist society. Like, this is the function of private equity firms. Again, I get it. But it's within this new landscape, the type of clinicians, that we want. And I think it's a different type of the one that might work for the private equity firm.
Yeah.
Or a subsidiary, should they know that they're actually doing that.
Right.
So I would say that is a big industry trend that is taking place, where a lot of the big firms are gobbling up the little ones. And I don't know what the quality of life necessarily looks like for the clinician on that side, but it seems like, based on the interviews we've had, from people coming from those places, feel very detached and isolated and unsupported. So we'll see. I mean, it's hard to know where it goes. AI only, like, I would say, like, in terms of what we use it for, it's helpful for clinical notes sometimes to make things more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
I love to write a grant and then pop it into AI and have them neaten it up a little bit.
There you go. But I would say that's about the extent of things. If we're looking at technologies, it's probably going to be other technologies, at least in this field.
Though I will say, and this, you can cut this out if you want, I have a very intelligent person I work with who uses AI quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And in a session said to me, here are the 4 things AI said that I'm having issues with. And I got to say, you are absolutely right. And he goes, well, because that's what I put in, so it spit back out, right? I said, right, because you knew what you were putting in. I said, how does AI help you with those 4 things?
This is a good point, actually.
And they said, well, that's what I'm here for, right, to work on with you. And I said, great, because we've touched on all these 4 things. Thing number 4 is the last thing. 1, 2, and 3, we have to choose which one do we take the deep dive into. And then we can pick the next one. And then we can, because again, we've hit all of them. But the underlying one is identity.
Mm-hmm.
And until we figure out the other pieces, we can't figure out the identity.
Yep.
Very interesting.
So I can see where, if you're adept at putting into AI a fairly accurate description of what's going on, it might be able to speed up the process of therapy.
I think it'll give you information. My only response to that one would be, as long as that person is willing to take action, and sometimes it's the therapist, is having a direct therapist, and like, okay, we can give you all the tools, but we get you for, in many cases, 53 minutes to an hour a week.
Yep.
And sometimes every other week. And really, it's on the individual to be doing that work themselves. And if you have a human being holding you accountable, assuming they want you to do that, and we usually ask the question, versus something else, I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
For me, it wouldn't operate the same way.
And we say the relationship heals, right? That when you started, we're in the room together and we are connecting, and that helps the process. And I do see with my younger clients that some of the social cues, some of the social niceties maybe that I was brought up with, they don't have because they've grown up with the device in their hands.
Right.
So maybe that hour they spend with us is the 1 hour of social interaction where they learn how to relate to another human being.
Right.
I would say you are right on the money, especially with certain age groups, especially those that were remote during COVID. I would say you're right on the money. But I could throw out the question: do you think AI can truly show empathy and connection with another human being? That would be the heart of my question, and whether or not it's effective.
Yeah.
Truly, or if it's a resource, and I would say absolutely a resource. But in lieu of, I would say for most, definitely not.
Yeah. It is an interesting thought experiment. We'll eventually find out, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Because which I totally agree, and I'm a big fan of the human. Well, we all are. Hey, look at me! Look how unique! I'm a big fan of the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
People are. But to your point, there's some folks that are very digitized, where that might be one of their main human interactions. The counter side of that is they might prefer the digital interaction. Now, what kind of human is that producing? I don't know. It's another conversation, but it's an interesting thought. It also reminds me of something. So I said this morning, I don't remember if this will be on the podcast or not. I was talking about asking ChatGPT what should my 13-year-old be preparing for, and what types of vocations and all this type of stuff in terms of careers. The other skill that it said to focus on, and it gave a whole bunch of examples like problem solving, etc. But it said, focus, you'll be successful if you have problem solving abilities in times of uncertainty. And I thought that was so cool, because AI, now it's still, and so are we as humans, we're basing our information off of all of our experiences. Like, that's very, similar to his basic.
It's like history predicting. Yeah.
But the the Star Trek is the Kobayashi Maru, right? What do you do when all the answers don't work? For the Star Trek, you giggled. You know what I'm talking about.
I might be a nerd.
I like Star Trek. I was not a huge Star Trek, but
it's a good line.
My godmother was a Trekkie, which they would say Trekker, and would go to the shows and dress up in this stuff. So I have every Star Trek ornament. I mean, I was just surrounded in it growing up. But the moments of uncertainty, the critical thinking in moments of uncertainty, that's what was highlighted. And I thought that was fascinating.
I would say we don't have the answers for our clients to things at all. But can we help build resiliency so when something comes, they're ready? Yeah.
And that was the word I was thinking of when you said exactly problem solving in the face of uncertainty. It's resilience.
Yeah.
It's resilience. It's grit. And I think that's something that we're missing a lot of in this particular time period.
That's awesome. All right. So I heard your alarm go off, which means we're almost running out of time here. And I appreciate the alarm. When I
This is
record
how
my
I
phone,
operate.
I can't see anything.
That's how I operate.
So that said, in closing, would like to think of, I'm going to ask this question. So again, coming from apparently Shangri-La over here, right? We're making an impact. We're employing people. We're growing a business. We're impacting community. We're helping the people that can't even pay for services. We got yoga going on, right? So doing a lot of things right. Clearly investing in the business. If you were to be given, I won't say grant because those you have to do things their way. Someone was to drop $5 million invested in the business, do whatever you want with. What would you do with that?
We each have
Can
our
we
own
build a
answers.
commune? Nice little safe place.
I don't know what that would look like
Yeah, I don't know.
necessarily.
No.
Back to the trust, by the way, for people that are listening, the first thing you did was look at each other.
Again, you asked a question that no one's ever asked us, I don't think. And so, it goes back to impact, right? More people could have services they need. More therapists. I mean, heck, with insurance companies, right? We could pay them anything if someone gave us $5 million.
There you go.
We could pay them what they're worth. I'm endless.
Yeah, I mean, I think an easy one for me would be the one thing that keeps me up at night is our clinician. How are our clinicians doing? Always. Yeah. I would absolutely take part of that 5 and give it to staff. Last year we actually did profit sharing. I mean, you don't see that in this industry.
Really?
And there's a lot of people that didn't want us talking about it in this industry. And you really just don't see it typically. And so I would say yes, compensation, because I mean, honestly, not to dog on insurance companies, but it's just the reality. I mean,
yeah,
they do not keep up with the cost of living, and I would say in the past 10 years, I don't know how much they've, on a percentage basis, they've really increased rates.
No.
So I would say yes, taking care of the people. I would say investing in new technologies that have shown efficacy for our clients. And I'd like to be involved in more schools, nonprofits, and out in the community and strategic partners and stuff like that to see if we can really make a difference. And also in rural communities too, where there's a lot of people that could use the help and are not.
And we're going to see more of that now.
Yeah.
Not totally unexpected responses from the two of you. What I love about that question, especially because it's knee-jerk, and I'm warning you for it, is people tend to answer from either a place where they feel they're not doing what they wish they were doing, right? Or they answer from a place that really identifies what that mission is and what that goal is. And so and you two are on the latter half, right? Like sometimes I ask like, I got to do that marketing thing, or I got to start doing this, or I got to do this. And it tends to hit on that one thing that's keeping you up at night, which is another version of the question. The fact that you immediately went to people and then into impact, really people are your product here, right?
Well,
so
P&L, I'm like, so I have some furniture, some used furniture, that's worth a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I rent some space, so that's nothing. What we have are actual people.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. It makes good sense from a place of leadership that's where you go, right? And you didn't even do that. Well, I'd retire. But
no, who would do that?
I know exactly,
No.
right? It's the entrepreneurs never have
I think we're both of the. I don't think we could ever like not do something someday to.
And I think we both always have to push the envelope a little. There's a little adventuresome in both of us.
If you did, you'd be in here saying, "Now, who am I now?" Right?
Yeah. No, I mean you're not wrong. I think if you give that up, and then, I mean, purpose and loneliness are big ones to avoid. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Well,
through different phases of life.
I live at retirement, like friends retiring. It's like you have to retire to something. You can't just retire from what you're doing. You have to retire to something. And if you love what you do, which sounds very corny, but happens to be true, then why would you want to stop doing it?
Right. Yeah, as long as you can, might as well.
And I-
mentor, go ahead.
No, you go.
I said, no, my mentor is close to 90, and I remember her telling me, 20 years ago, you can be pretty old and sit in a chair and listen to people.
That's awesome.
I mean, the whole Shangri-La, like, I'm grateful. I think I do believe we invested in our practice during a time where in this field, you could have made the easiest money possible in the history of this field.
Yeah.
And that was during COVID. And you
Yep.
could hire an entire staff. You could choose whether you want to put this online or not. This is true. An entire staff of telehealth only therapists. We wanted every single person to have an office here unless they had a health thing going on or they needed the flexibility or they only wanted that.
Yep.
So they had a community. And then when COVID went away, we still have cohesion. Like we still have a group. Like it's not like all these people that are just all over the place
Right.
doing telehealth where there's no true culture. There's no, where are the
Connection.
values and connection?
Yeah. You thought about where you wanted to be
Correct.
at the other side of it
Correct.
and believing in that other side.
Correct. And I would say, whether or not that's a secret sauce, I think it was a choice to, we're not focused on the short term, and a lot of them aren't around anymore. And I get why.
Yeah.
But we were certainly focused on, 6 years out, COVID, we're going to assume it's not going to be a thing anymore. And we need to scale along with it.
Yeah. Oh, smart move. Clearly.
So, yeah.
Got lucky.
Ted, just as you know, luck and skill, there's a nice little blur between the two, but
Yes, there is. Yeah.
and timing.
I always feel like we're a chapter out of Outliers. Like, we're the hockey player born in January instead of June.
Yeah.
We were like
Oh, that's hilarious.
here, and then COVID hit, and we were ready.
Yeah. It's. I don't know.
Right.
I wish I could give you more to help other people, but I would just say show up authentically every single day. Is that stay true to the values that you've said you've had since day one. The priorities you say that you have,
Live them.
keep focusing on them.
Yeah.
Know you're
100%.
going to make mistakes and that you can recover. I'm sorry.
And own them.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Your
are
staff
the
is
best
understanding.
words.
They know you're human, and I think they respect it.
Well, I think they respect it more if they know that.
If you don't, it's like, hey, it's like
Because they're talking about it at dinner time anyway.
Yep. So you might as well get in
So-
front of the thing.
That's what we used to say. Like somebody makes it in management. Congrats, your dinner conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So,
So like,
That's
I
what we
thought-
got.
I thought the puppy was back.
That was Daniel. The
I know.
man.
We do have a dog that comes in and out.
Awesome. Well, this is it's been a fascinating conversation.
Thank you.
Again, really impressed with even getting to know you two even more through this process, and I think a lot makes sense in listening to you talk about the business and kind of how you look at that and the community and just aligning yourself with impact. That's awesome. So, thanks for doing the hard work.
And I would say thank you for helping us be able to connect with people we wouldn't have been able to connect with otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what I'm trying to do.